Hey, John, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, sir. Sir, you still on the phone, Mr. Richard?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. John, this is Mr. Richard. We spoke already. And Mr. Richard, this is John. This is my partner.
All
Hey, how
right.
you
Hey,
doing,
how you
Richard?
doing?
Good
All
morning.
right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my man. So let's start at the beginning. It looks like the house is up for auction. What transpired? How did we get here?
Long story. Real long story. Uh, we probably don't have time for it. It it it's a multitude of things.
Okay. Do you know how far behind on payments you are? Let's start there.
No, not really. No, sir.
Okay. So Denzel was telling me you owe about 190,000 on the house. Is that about right?
Probably somewhere around there.
Okay. And what repairs need to be made to this house?
Uh, Repairs. Well, I'll be honest with you, and I was, you know, I'm a no BS kind of guy. Uh, I don't like playing games.
Yep.
Um, the only thing I know people would want to do in this house is there's carpet throughout the house except for the bathrooms and the kitchen,
Okay.
obviously. Uh, is I know somebody would want to replace the carpet in the common areas, the living room and the hallways, because obviously
Okay.
that's the high traffic area of the house.
Right.
Uh, and I know everybody's got to keep up with the Joneses, so they got to have LVP flooring and
Mm-hmm.
all the latest greatest stuff that I'm just not really into. Never been
Sure.
into it, never will be. Uh, that would be the only thing. And here's the thing. I said the same thing to Denzel yesterday. I've done my research. I'm actually sitting in my office right now, and I'm looking at a stack of CMAs from realtors.
Okay.
Uh, I've had numerous, investors, wholesalers wanting to buy this house for for pennies. And I've done my research because I even went to what was it? Mark Spain called them. That other one, which come to find out, Mark Spain and this other one that they're both working together. So don't let the commercials fool you. Uh, and the woman from Mark Spain sat here and goes, well, it's going to cost this to replace the carpet or put new flooring down and everything. And somebody says, well, this. Well, you know what? I'm an educated man, so I called 3 different flooring companies. I'm sitting here at my computer. I can pull up the floor plan of this house and tell you exactly to the inch how many square feet are in this house, outside, inside, each room, everything. Because again, I've done my research and I've prepared myself, and I know what it costs to replace that little bit of carpet. Uh, Matter of fact, I've got the PowerPoint where I've got the uh wait a minute, it's on the other PowerPoint. Uh, it's actually only oh, 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 oh. The what did I do with it? I got it here somewhere. It's just a little over uh right. I can't I've got it here. Hold on. I'll put it in a different folder. Uh right. Oh, I got it here. There it is. Square footage right there. Uh let's see. It's like it's a little over 300 square foot that would have to be redone if
Okay.
somebody wanted to get rid of the carpet. Because I'm looking at it right here.
Okay.
Well, let's see. 288 is the living room. 24 square feet for one living room. 32. So yeah, a little over 300. That's 308, 312, 340, 344 square feet.
Okay. Not much at all.
Yeah, and people try to tell me. I'm sorry. What did you say your name was?
John.
John. I thought that was what it was. John. People try to tell me that it's going to cost $8,000 to do that, $5,000 to do that, and it's not, because I have called three different flooring companies and said, okay, here's the square footage, and
Yep.
and actually that square footage is about, because I've done construction before in my life. I know they usually factor in 10% overage.
Yeah.
And that actual square footage that I just gave you is about 10% overage. Because
Okay.
I didn't subtract for the fireplace. I didn't subtract for a couple of little things that there's actually no flooring that needs to be replaced there. So because there's tile in front of the fireplace, I didn't subtract for that. So I know there's a 10% over.
Okay.
And I know that it would cost less than $3,000. Actually, right around $2,500.
Okay.
A little over, give or take. I think the average was about 25.7 from three different flooring companies, and I gave them the exact the square footage.
Yeah.
I said, how much would it cost to do this with LVP flooring? But yet, people that want to buy this house,
Yep.
they go, well, Richard, to replace that, it's going to cost $8,000 or $10,000. Well, who in the world are you getting to put this flooring in?
Correct. I would agree with that. So my number was about 2,500. So you and I are on the same page.
Right. So I'm really tired. I've done all this research because I'm tired of people trying to BS me. They try to pull the wool over me.
Yep.
Like I was telling you, Dale, John, I know you people want to make money off this house. That's the only reason y'all are in this business. That's the
Correct.
only reason anybody does anything is they want to make money.
Correct.
And I don't begrudge y'all that. But I'm not going to hand you the knife or take the knife from you, John, so I can cut my own throat.
No, I get
You
it.
know what I'm saying?
I totally get it.
So you can make $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 more than what whatever y'all's number is. I know y'all got a number in mind. Hey, we want to make 5%, 6%. Someone said 10, 15% they want to make off everything that they do. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you. Have a nice day. So I've got a number in mind. If people get close to that, we can definitely do business.
Okay. So let's just get to it. What's that number?
I don't say that because your number may come in a little bit higher than mine.
I
So
see.
again, John, you're asking me to go to my kitchen and get my sharpest knife and cut my own throat.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how we can help. So I'll give you all what I can tell. Just, I have not been in the house. I have not seen the house. I don't know anything about the house. I know that houses in that neck of the woods, if everything is fixed and ready to go, 275 on the open market to Joe Public is probably where this house would trade at. But again, I've got closing costs, I got realtor fees, I got to go put the flooring in, and I've got to make a profit. So the main thing is, what are we going to do with the house? Are we going to turn this into a rental? Then I've got to look at, what the rents are in the area. Like, there's various different factors. I don't know what I don't know. Um, you owe 190. I mean, how much money do you need to put in your pocket after all is said and done to walk away from this house? I guess that's a better number.
Absolutely, as much as I can get.
Sure.
Well,
Is
now
that
see, John, you've said a couple of things that concern me.
what's that?
Okay, we're doing a deal here, so I don't see where realtors have to be involved.
Oh, no, no, no. What
Okay.
I'm talking is if my exit strategy is to go put some paint on this thing, throw it up on the MLS, replace the flooring, and I could sell this thing for 275, there's going to be closing costs and realtor fees on that side. I've got to bring more money in my pocket than I have going out. I can't take a loss on the property. So I'm just trying to
Okay.
calculate it out. If I'm going
Well,
to keep this thing and rent it out, that's a different equation. So I'm just
well,
trying to figure out how I can help you and not lose money on the deal.
well, let's kind of finish up with what I was saying.
Okay.
Um, I, again, I'm sitting here literally looking at it's almost 3 inches tall
Okay.
uh, of CMAs, and I told Denzel yesterday the latest CMA that was done on this house.
Uh-huh.
Now, John, there are 61 houses in this neighborhood. I have looked every one of them up online, and yes, I know it's an estimate, so don't bite my head off. Okay. What Zillow and everything puts on there is an estimate. They even says Zillow estimate or whatever, however they phrase it. And I know it's just an estimate. I've watched every house in this neighborhood uh, that's sold. I've looked them up. Okay. Uh, some are over a year old. Uh, one just sold down on the same street I'm on. Okay. He asked way under what the market value was for this neighborhood. And I spoke to him, and he's military. He had to close within 30 days. So his realtor was like, okay, let's list it really low. I said, well, guess what? You're cutting my throat. Anyway, all that is beside the point. The two houses that sold before that, one sold for 298, the other one sold for 297. Was on the market. Both of them were on the market less than 4 days. Less than 4 days. Well, I started doing my research. I looked up every house, averaged them out, averaged out the square footage, and square footage is 19.5. The average is about 19.5. The average estimated price at the time, now it's been a few months since I did this, was $299,000. The houses on either side of me right now are estimated over $300,000. Either house. You can go on Zillow and look them up. One's 280. I'm 275, so they're 255, and the other one's 295.
Okay.
You can look up. You can look my house up. I looked it up last night after I spoke to Denzel because I wanted to make sure I didn't give him the wrong information.
Sure.
It's estimated on Zillow for 296, for 286. I'm sorry, 286. All right. The last CMA that was done on this house, compared to the houses that sold on this same street, was also 298. Now that's the same realtors that you say you're going to be working with. Now if I've got a 71 Bronco fully restored out there, if I sold you that 71 Bronco today, and I said, well, or if I bought that Bronco from you, and I said, hey, John, I'm not going to give you as much for it because you know what? I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna put new wheels and tires on it, and I'm gonna sell it, and I'm gonna need you to. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to pay me for the new tires I'm gonna put on, tires and wheels I'm gonna put on it, and or I'm gonna deduct for the new tires and wheels I'm gonna put on it, and I'm gonna deduct for advertising that vehicle for sale. What would you say to me?
No, I totally get that. But if I'm comparing,
But that's what you're asking me to do.
no,
You're
no, no,
asking me
no, no,
to.
no. I'm comparing
Yeah, yeah,
apples to
yeah, you are,
apples.
John, stop, because you are. You're saying, well, Richard, I'm gonna have realtor fees when I try to sell it.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to fix the floor. Well, guess what, John? In the number that I have in my head,
Hmm.
I've already adjusted for somebody's going to want to replace the floor. So I've already adjusted that $2,500. So I'm
Okay.
not giving somebody else another $2,500.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it. Okay. It's just like if you wanted to sell me one of your vehicles and I said, well, I'm gonna put new wheels and tires on it, you're not going to pay me to put new wheels and tires on it. You're not. If anything, you're going to charge me for the amount of money it costs for you to put those wheels and tires on it. See
I
what I'm
get,
saying?
yeah, no, I
See,
get
see,
your point. I get your
see,
point.
see how I'm frustrated with everybody? It's
Well,
like,
I
okay,
mean, you can
well,
be frustrated with anybody. I'm just shooting you straight. So when we're pulling comparables, we're basing it on sold properties. We're comparing apples to apples. Those apples need to be in the same orchard and preferably on the same tree. So a house that is the exact square footage that your house is sold down the street, I think you said for 275, right?
but it's not the exact square footage. You need to do your research. See, uh, well, I didn't tell you, I didn't tell you guys. Uh, I've got dogs, and I walk this neighborhood morning and evening, and I pay attention to things. I spent most of my life in law enforcement and in the military, and training both law enforcement and military. So I pay attention to things. Okay, a house that sold at I think it's 200 or 210 Seabiscuit. I can't remember the number right offhand. Okay, you're in the realty business.
Yeah.
One one a garage door with one big door. Okay, you know how it has those little fake pressed in little panel looking things on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes it look like it's all fancy and crap. Well, in this neighborhood, there's only two houses that have double garages, meaning they have a single door for a single car to go in, versus the other ones that have a real big one. Now, I have gone because there was always something that stood out about that house, even before it sold. Even before it sold, it looks like my house. It's shaped like my house, but if you can go on Zillow because you can pull up the pictures and pull up the pictures and look at the garage door and count from left to right, right to left, whichever way you want to, and count each one of those little panels. Every large door in this neighborhood has 8 panels. Whether you count them left to right, right to left, does not matter. You count that one, it's only got 7. Okay? They used to drive a little small car and a little small SUV. Well, no, I'm sorry. He drove a truck. His wife drove a little small SUV. She pulled it in. There was barely room to walk between the door and the wall when she parked her SUV in there. I've got an F-150 extended cab 4-wheel drive truck that I can pull in and I've got 6 or 7 foot from the bumper to the back wall of my garage. I measured it. I'm sitting here looking at the measurements right now. Okay. You look at pictures of the laundry room. I mean, I'm not BSing you, John. You can go online, Zillow, and pull up the pictures and look at it. Look at the laundry room. Look at the washer and dryer. They're touching each other, and they're almost touching the wall. Mine has about a almost 2-foot gap in between the two. You look at the square footage. That house is I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I think it's well over 200 square foot smaller than my house. The other one that was on the market down here, 412 Seabiscuit, okay, is again another 300 square foot smaller than my house. Now, if you use the math that every realtor does to do their CMAs, you take the house that sold, figure out how much it's worth a square foot. Then you take whatever's different between the square footage, and you multiply it by that number. Now, when you do that, yes, that sold for $275, I think. When you do the math, guess what it comes up to? $286, because my house is X number of square feet bigger than that house. I've studied these CMAs. I've questioned these CMAs. I've held them up to a realtor and said, okay, explain that number to me. This is your CMA, your algorithm, your whatever crooked math you do. Explain it to me. And there's been so many things that they can't explain. So I've done my research, John. I'm not BS, and I don't BS. I just don't like being BS. I don't like people saying, well, Richard, we're going to have to do this. Well, that's on you. Again, if I'm selling you something, I'm not going to make you pay because you want to put different wheels and tires on a vehicle I sold you. That's not fair. So I'm not throwing out numbers here that are fictitious. I mean, I might not be exactly the numbers, but I've done my research.
Okay. So basically, I mean, I could get long-winded into the whole CMA thing, blah, blah, blah. It's basically you're using math that makes sense to you. But if the house is smaller than your house, it's going to cost more per square foot to build that house. And
Wait
using
a minute, say what?
the smaller the house, whatever it's sold for, the math is going to show that it costs more per square foot based on the math that you just used. So if the house is bigger, the math is not, it's not apples to apples. A 2,000 square foot house that sold at $200 a square foot is not the same as a house that sold at 1,000 square feet that came in at say 275 a square foot. Because then you could take that 275, apply it to the 2,000, and of course, your number's going to be higher. The houses that are smaller are always going to cost more per square foot based on that math. The way that we do appraisals is we base it on sold properties. And those properties, they can't be 20, well, this is the math that I use, 20% bigger or 20% smaller. That's kind of the bracket I use for square footage. Now, full disclosure, I am a licensed broker in Fresno, California. I do deals all across the nation. It
This
doesn't
is not
matter.
California. This
I
is not
get that.
California.
I get
And
that.
I've never been to California. Don't want to go to California. Uh, and here's the thing, John. I pulled up 412 Seabiscuit right here in front of me. It is 1677 square foot. My
Yep.
house is 1800 square foot.
Okay.
Okay. So that's 133 square foot difference. And
Okay.
here's the other thing, John. I've done construction work. Okay. You're going to tell me that a house that's smaller costs more than a bigger house?
I'm telling you that the math, when you do the math on what the smaller house sold for, if you apply the metrics to a larger house, that's not an apples to apples comparison. That's what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that it costs less to or costs more to build a smaller house than it does a bigger house. But if a house sold for $272,000 and it's only 1,000 square feet, the math would be $272 a square foot, right? But if I put the same metric, if I put a 2,000 square foot house, I can't calculate that 2,000 square foot house at $272 a square foot. That would give an abnormal number. So when you're running comparables, you're comparing apples to apples. You can't cross any major streets. A two-story house is not the same as a one-story house. A one-story house is worth more than a two-story house. because you've got older folks that can't get up the stairs and whatnot. So the house that is single level is more desirable. And I compare single stories to single stories. And if I can get a house that is 1,750 square feet, and let's just pretend your house is 1,750 square feet, if I can get those on the same street, I've got a pretty good idea of what my house is going to trade for on the open market. So, I mean, I could come to a number. The number one thing that we've got to figure out is how to stop this auction and what you're going to put in your pocket after all is said and done. So,
Right.
I was walking the block. I'm hopping on my computer right now so we can look at some direct comparables.
Well, 212 Biscuit, which was on the market. It says it was on the market. It's not saying it's sold. Uh, is $160.40 a square foot.
Okay,
Now I think
212 Seabiscuit.
412.
Oh, 412. I'm sorry. Here, let me pull up. What's your address? Give me that real quick so I can punch that in.
275.
275 C Biscuit. And that's
And I'm talking
Roford, North Carolina, correct?
Rayford.
Rayford. Okay, Rayford. All right, so I'm seeing houses. Looks like you paid 180 for the house. It was built in 2005. This one on Leland is a half a mile away. It was built in 2024, so that is not a comparable we can use. You want to be plus 10 years or minus 10 years so we get the same construction costs. I'm looking at 112 Raymond Drive. Which one's this one right here? This one
Yeah,
is Alexander Court.
yeah. I can tell you everything about that house right here, right now, because I've got tons of CMAs on that one.
Okay,
So
that one
so
was
here,
built in 2002, a little bit smaller
so,
than yours, sold for 265.
John, here's the other house that sold that the guy asked way too little for, and it sold for 272.5. Well, I'm hoping that's what it. Yeah, and it's 200 Seabiscuit.
I
It
see
is
that.
seven.
Yeah,
It is
1,730 square feet.
now. If you look at the main picture, okay, where you see the house with the flag and everything,
Yep.
and you look at the garage door, use your cursor
Yeah.
and count those panels.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7.
Okay. Now I'm not BSing you. I've done my research.
Okay.
Now, if you go and scroll through the pictures,
Yep.
there'll be a picture of the laundry room. Let's see all pictures.
Yeah, it's got a deck out back.
I've got a deck out back too. You can look at the pictures
Yep.
so the laundry room, the washer and dryer are literally touching each other, and there may be 2 inches on either side of it. I mean, you can tell how tiny it is.
Okay.
Then you look at the pictures I sent.
That house also got a new roof in 2023.
Yeah, and my roof is this is 2025. It's just a
Okay.
little over 4 years old. So if you'd have been speaking to your buddy, he would have told you that I told him that yesterday. Okay.
Okay.
Also, the water heater is just like I said yesterday. It may be coming up on 5 years. Okay. Garbage disposal was replaced less than 2 years ago. All the screens in my house, I have personally pulled all the old screen out and put new screen in.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I walk by to this house every day, morning and evening. Okay. It was out there for sale. The mailbox was literally falling off the pole. It was twisted. and literally falling off the pole. The back fence that you could see from the road was almost laying down in the yard. Okay.
Okay.
And the only difference between that house and mine, the only major difference other than the square footage, well, I'm looking at the deck right now. The deck, I don't know when they took those pictures, but that's not really the deck. You see this, it's unfinished. It's mine's got staining or that what is it, redwood paint stain stuff on it.
Okay.
The only real difference is in the common areas. Delivered that 400 that 300, what did I say it was, 344 square feet
Mm-hmm.
was they got some kind of fake wood down. That's the only difference.
Okay.
That's the only difference. And we've already both agreed that that's only $2,500. And the number I've got in my head, okay, because it was like I told Denzel yesterday. Let's say I listed my house for $286 when it says on Zillow. Let's say I did. I know I'm not going to get $286, John. I know.
Right.
Very few people ever get exactly what they're asking.
Correct.
Especially in the way the market is right now. Okay. Oh, and also look at the picture. Some of the windows in this house don't even have screens on them. Okay, this house has been very well maintained. I used to do work for a warranty company where, John, if you had a problem with your house and you called the warranty company, I would be the one coming and fixing it.
Okay.
If I covered your area. Okay.
Right.
I'm very mechanical. Like I said, I've got a 71 Bronco out there that I spent 2.5 years by myself doing a frame off restoration. I'm very mechanical. I'm very handy. I don't like stuff that's broke and looks any other way than it should. All the water, all the faucets in this house, since I don't keep up with the Joneses, I'm not going to spend $250 on a faucet for my kitchen. I'd be happy with a water hose sticking out of it. But I've gone through I have one that leaked. So when I went and bought the parts for that, I just bought the parts for everything and rebuilt every one of them from top to bottom. Took them apart, cleaned them out, got all the scaling off of them, everything else, put all new rubber, all new springs, everything so they wouldn't leak. And I guarantee you, the guy that was living in that house didn't do it. They barely mowed their yard. They didn't start mowing their yard until they put the house up for sale. And they had some company come in there one day and trim all the bushes, mow the yard and everything. Now he's military. I'm not saying that he wasn't busy or whatever, and maybe he just overlooked that part of his life. But I'm saying, you're saying apples to apples. Even though that house looks just like mine, appears to look just like mine, it's not the same.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You had this house on the market. Did you get any offers?
No, because well, yes, from wholesalers, oh, well, hey, I'll give you 220 for it. And I'm like, and you know what, John, they say the same thing you do. Well, we're going to have to come in here and do this. We're going to have to come in here and do that. No, you don't. The only thing that would have to be done to this house, and I'm honest with you, just like I was honest with them, is somebody's going to want to put different flooring in that 344 square feet. I know it. I know they are because people got to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, the neighbor's got LVP4. I've got to have it. Well, I'm not like that. I don't care what you have in your house. I don't live in a house for other people. I live in what's comfortable for me. Now, do I keep up with the maintenance? Yes. Do I like things to work? Yes, absolutely. But that's the only thing that needs to be done to this house. And I had a horrible realtor. I'm not going to say what company they work for, Caldwell Banker. In 3 months that she had the contract, I had 3 showings. 3 showings.
Okay. It only takes
knew
4 things. It only takes 4 things to sell a house. 1 is condition, 2 is access, 3 is price, and the 4th is exposure. So if the condition of the house is in good condition, it's not that. if you let them put a lockbox on there and people were able to come look at it whenever they wanted to. It's not that. Price, I don't set the price, you don't set the price, the market sets the price. Looks like you had it on the market for 295 and then you dropped it down to 289. I mean, the public's telling you like it's overpriced. I mean, that's what I can see just from the numbers.
Well,
2024 was a difficult year because of interest rates, right? So,
John, I know all that. I've been told all that, and I'm saying you didn't really hear what I said. I had a lousy realtor. Okay, I for some reason Caldwell Banker sent out two. One was a selling agent, one was a buying agent. Now I've got friends in Florida that are realtors, and every time I had a question, I'd call one of them. Hey, what? And they're like, "What? Why do you need two?" Beside the point. Okay, and they said this, and I said, okay. I said to the realtor, what should we list it at? She goes, well, what would you like to list it at? I said, as much as I can. I'd like to list it for $295. She goes, okay, we will. Well, guess what? That was too high. Okay. But this is somebody that's supposed to be in the business and knows all the nooks, crannies, and all the ins and outs of it. Okay. Here's how good she was, John. She scheduled an open house on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, not going to be great.
Okay. Then she schedules one for a Saturday, and it was just a little over an hour before she shows up. I get a text. She goes, "I'm not feeling good. I think I'm gonna have to go to the hospital. So I'm not gonna be able to be there. I'm gonna see if somebody else in the office wants to come out."
Mm.
Now, when the time comes for the open house, guess what, John? Nobody showed up. So
Yep.
what that tells me, in my mind, now I'm not the smartest person on the face of the planet. I've been around a few days. That tells me right there that nobody knew about the open house because they didn't know that she wasn't going to be here.
Right.
So if they were planning on being here, regardless of what happens to her, they would have showed up. But in 2 hours, nobody showed up. And I'm like, so I get on the phone to my friends in Florida. I go, hey, and all three, both of them go, you need to fire her. Fire her right now because she is not doing anything for you. Well, the contract run out, and she had to call to, hey, do you want to renew for another 3 months? No, she still hasn't heard back from me because I'm trying to be a nicer guy. I'm trying to do things the way the man upstairs wants us to do things. So I was like, no, I'm not going to call. I'm not going to call her back. I'm just going to take a few deep breaths and move on. So John, you're not dealing with somebody that doesn't know. And now I'm not saying I know everything, and you've thrown out some things that are really strange. When you tell me that a house that a house is 1,000 square foot costs more to build than a house
No, I
that's
didn't say that.
2,000.
I said a
That's what you
house.
said.
No,
You
sir.
said it's
Listen
going
to.
to show it's going to show that house is worth is more a square foot than a bigger
Yeah,
house would be.
that is correct. That is
So,
exactly what I said.
John, in the real world, that means it costs more than that. For if it's
No,
showing that house costs more a square foot than the bigger house, then that says it costs more to build that house.
no, that's not what it's saying. What it's saying is it's
Yes,
sold for more.
it is.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to argue with you. I know that you know what you know. Like, I've been doing this. I've closed deals in 26 out of the 50 states. I do this professionally on a daily basis. I'm not wholesaling your house. I'm paying cash. I'm an investor. I'm investing
Okay,
money to make money. That's what I do.
I
If a
understand that.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out a way that one, I can stop your auction, two, I can put some money in your pocket, and three, I don't lose any money when I do those two things. That's all I'm
Here,
trying to accomplish.
here's the thing, John. And you say you're out in California,
That is correct.
John. This house is just outside Fort Bragg.
Yep.
Fort Bragg is the second largest military installation in the free world.
Okay.
The first is Fort Hood, Texas. Now I know they changed the names to both of those.
Yep.
I don't agree with it, and I'm not going to change the names. I spent most of my military career at Fort Hood. Was there 3 times. Worked with tactical nuclear weapons. The next 2 times, I was there as military police. I was in charge of the SWAT team on the world's largest military installation. I've never stepped foot on Fort Bragg. Okay. This neighborhood is full of military. Uh, the guy right next door to me, 82nd Airborne. I've asked him, how long does it take him to get on post? He says 10 minutes. For somebody that works on Fort Bragg, that is a godsend. Okay, because that's how long that's how little it takes you to get on Fort Bragg. All right. In this area, there is no losing money on a house, unless, well, I mean, you could, you know, if you paid me $500,000 for this house, yeah, you're going to lose money. Okay, but I'm not in that ballpark. And John, I've got a number in my head that if people, like I said before, if people get close to that, we can talk. And John, trust me, that number is not 286. Because I know I would not get 286 for that. Because let's say I did want to ask 286 for it. I'll start with, I wouldn't do that because I know somebody's going to replace the floor. So I'm going to deduct that $2,500 it's going to cost to replace that floor.
Yeah, but you asked
Okay.
$295 for it just
John,
here in January, though, right?
Let's don't even talk about that anymore. That was a big mistake. I hired the wrong realtor. Bad advice. I even called the broker that oversees that and complained to him. I said, dude, do you realize this is what your realtor did not do for me? Okay. Every time the only time I had communication with her was when I called her, and I'd call her and it sounded like she was at a daycare because she's at home with her kids.
Mm-hmm.
Told me she does not work Saturdays, and every realtor in the world knows that's the best day to work. So let's just forget about that. That was a bad choice on my part. I've paid for it. I'm moving on. I'm not dwelling on that anymore. Okay. What I'm saying now is the latest CMA, based on these houses on this street,
Mm-hmm.
based on the estimate on Zillow, if I was to list this house, if I would go on there, because I had it for sale by owner, if I go in there and update this, I would say I would list it for not the 286. I would list it for 240, 246. No, 286. I would list it for probably 284. No, probably about 283. Because I would take out for the floor. All right. And the way I listed the house before, I'm gonna put a 1-year warranty on the house for whoever buys it, so they don't have to worry about anything. They go, well, you know, the garbage disposal, you know, it could go out tomorrow. Well, we don't have to charge you for that. Well, it's just a little over 2 years old, so no, you're not. But let's say they did. No, you don't, because here's a home warranty that's going to cover that. If something happens in the year after I sell it to you, it's covered. So I would list the house for maybe 283, 282, based on all the information I have with CMAs and what is estimated on Zillow. Now I know right now, the way the market is right now, I probably wouldn't get that 282 or 283, whichever one I did. All right. But I would have a number in mind where, you know what, I'm not going to go any lower than this. So I've got a number, and I'm not saying those are what it is. Okay. Don't assume that's what I'm saying. I've got a number that would put cash in my pocket enough for me to get my stuff packed up, moved down to Florida, and get me into a place down there. I'm gonna rent for a year until I see what the market's going to do. And I don't know if I'm gonna stay in Florida. I may end up leaving Florida and go back to Louisiana. I don't know. But I'm gonna start in Florida because my family and friends are down there. rest of my family and friends are in Louisiana. So I don't know. That really has no bearing on it. I have a number in mind. And if y'all can get close to that, we can make a deal.
Okay. I mean, I'm running numbers and whatnot. I'm looking, I mean, I'm an investor. I've got to make money. I'm looking at right around 217.
What?
217.
I got a guy that I'm waiting on him to send me uh his offer.
Hmm.
His offer is 280. So
Oh,
so you
well,
are so you
yeah.
are a wholesaler because you're going to turn around and sell it to somebody else.
No, I'm going to invest money into it, put it on the market. I got holding costs. There's cost of the money that I've got to invest. I got to have a return on my investment. Wholesaling is an exit strategy. It's not a career. I'm going to fix and flip this thing. I'm going to put new floors in it, put some paint on it, get the yard cleaned up, put it on the market, and sell it to a retail buyer. If you've got somebody that's telling you they're going to give you $280,000 for the house, you should absolutely take that deal.
Well, to start with, clean up the yard. I've got neighbors coming over saying, you do know you have the best looking yard in the neighborhood. Now, does it look that way in those pictures? No, it depends on the time of the year. Okay.
Okay.
Paint. Okay. Yeah, I've had somebody try that one too. They said, well, the paint, if we came in and painted this whole house, it's going to cost $12,000. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've done research on that. I've done my research. And here's the other thing, John. And I thought I made it clear earlier. I don't care if you come in here and put gold fixtures and everything. I don't care if you put gold on the floor. That's not my responsibility. For selling a house does it have flooring in it? Yes, it does.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, it does. Does it have paint on the walls? Yes, it does. Is the
Okay.
paint in usable working condition? Yes, it is. Do all the doors work? Do they squeak? No, they don't, because I grease them. Do all the windows have screens on them? Yes. Do all the windows work? Yes. But you're wanting me to pay for all the money that you're going to make later on because of all the work you're going to do. And here's the other thing: whoever you have come in here, I know that they're giving you a deal on how much you pay them to do work and all this other stuff. Where if I hired the same people and had them do the same work, they're going to charge me more. I know how the game is played. Okay. So if you're saying 217,
That's a real number. That's a number that I'm willing to cut a check for today. That's correct.
no.
Okay, so where do we need to
That,
be? It ain't 280. I know that.
and I've already said that, but 217, really, dude? For 217, let's say legitimate. Let's say we could agree. Everybody could agree, do all their research, all their algorithms and everything, and say, okay, if we put this house on the market right here, right now, what could we ask for it? Let's just ballpark, just fictitious number. I'm not saying this is the actual number. Let's say 280. Okay, 280,
Okay.
and it's sold as is, as
Okay.
is. 280. That's 217. That's 60. That's $63,000. That's a
Well,
$63,000 difference.
no,
Okay.
that's not how it would work because I would have to pay the
Listen, you gotta
realtor to
understand.
sell it. Well, I'm telling you
Wait a
how it really works, not
minute.
based on what you think.
Listen to what I'm saying. 280
Yep.
versus your 217. That is a
Yep.
$63,000 difference. Okay. Repairs, realtor, all this other stuff does not equal up to $63,000.
Okay.
You could gut this house
Hmm.
literally and rebuilt and changed the floor plan all around for $63,000.
If I put this house on the market at 280,000, after I pay the realtor and the closing costs to sell it to whoever it is at 280, I would pocket roughly $250,000. So 250,000 minus 217 would leave me a net profit. If everything went correctly, it would leave me a net profit of $33,000. I'm not making a fortune on this house. I'm going to go deploy $217,000 to make $33,000. That's the math.
$33,000. You're not happy with making $33,000 off of one house.
I'm risking 217,000. If everything goes perfectly, I'd make 33.
No, if you're really in this business, like you say, you know you're not going to lose $217,000. Not in this area. Not anywhere.
All right,
Well,
let's
there may
just
be.
look at the math. The guy that bought this house in 2005, brand new, he paid almost $170,000 for this house. When you bought this
Okay.
house, you paid 180. He made a 10, he didn't even make 10 grand. I don't know what the pay down on his loan was. I can't do all that, but it only appreciated $10,000. You're telling me that this house appreciated $100,000
No, the
versus
market's
the
telling you that.
10,000? No, the market's telling me that this house didn't trade at 295, that ain't the number. That a house
No,
that
no.
sold similar to yours sold for 275, and
Okay, which is what?
that took two
Which is what?
months.
Wait a minute,
That
wait a
took
minute. Which is $95,000. That house. Did you see what they paid for that house when they bought it?
I did not know.
Okay. Well, look at what they paid for it when they bought it, and they bought their house a little while after I did. The difference between their house and my house when they bought it was, I think they paid two something for that house. Okay, you can scroll down on Zillow and see. See, I'm not making numbers up. I'm going by what you people use. Okay, I
Okay.
think they paid $20,000 or $25,000 more for that house than I did for mine. Okay,
Okay.
and then less than 3 years later, he sold it for 272. And I talked to the man. I stood out in his driveway talking to him.
Okay.
Okay, and he was happy with what he was making. He was in the house. He was military, an officer. I want to say he was. I can't remember what he said he was. And he was getting transferred up to New York, so he had to sell the house and get it closed by the end of September of last year. Okay, and he was, even after realtor fees and everything, which is
Mm-hmm.
negotiable now, averages around 6%. And the closing cost you're talking about, I've got a paper right here with the closing cost. Okay, I know what it costs around here for closing costs. You have to pay a lawyer, and there's a couple other little things. I'd have to dig through and find it, which I know is less than $1,000.
Oh
I
no,
know
no,
it.
no, no. It's not. That's
Yeah,
not true because
John,
title insurance
John,
is more
yes,
than
it is.
that.
I'm looking. I've got it right here in black and white. Isn't it?
Oh,
Dude, this is not California. This
I'm
is
not
North Carolina.
sure. Sure. I do deals
Okay.
across the United States. So I have an offer on the table for 217. You don't like that. What's your number? You didn't want to give me your number. I gave you mine. 217 is where I'm at. Whoever's paying you 280, they're probably a wholesaler. They're probably going to have to go get a loan. And I mean, the auction's coming up. You guys aren't going to have enough time to close a conventional loan. Like this is going to have to be a cash sale. So what's the number?
My number is between 265 and 270.
Hmm. I can't get anywhere near that and still turn a profit. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't you? Why don't? Richard, I'm an investor. I am not a buyer. I'm not a spender. If I was buying your
Well,
house
then,
at
you know
260,
what? You know what? I'm gonna say it like I said to somebody else. They said the same thing. Well, I'm gonna have to go out and get a loan. And okay, if y'all people are in this business, uh, my
hmm
father and grandfather owned business my whole life. I grew up watching them run businesses. Okay,
okay,
and my father and grandfather did not own a credit card, did not put anything on credit. Okay,
okay,
when they bought something new for the company, that whatever they bought started making money for its replacement. That
okay,
makes sense. So
yep.
so when all of a sudden they got wore out and everything, guess what? Now he may have to add a little money to that, but yet that whatever it was, a percentage of that went towards the next buy. And I don't understand how you people are doing this real estate stuff. If you buy X number of properties and like you said, you're not happy with making $37,000, taking part of that 37,000, let me put it over here in this slush fund, this account where I can use that for the part of that for the next buy, for the next buy, for the next buy, for the next buy. And then each time you sell something, okay, let's put a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, hey, I can buy this next property outright. Don't have to rely on anybody else. I can give Richard his 250,000. He's happy, we're happy. Let's go on our way. I do what I want to the house. I sell the house, down the road because you say you're going to fix it up, maybe hold on to it or whatever. Well, guess what? The market's going to change, and I know this area. So now, 6 months, a year down the road, this house is worth $300,000, $310,000. Well, let's sell that house. Okay. Well, guess what? I made $90,000 off this house. Okay, let's take 40,000 of that, put it away for the next buy. But you made back all your other money too, so you can still got that money. You still got the 250 you paid me. So now you got 300 in the slush fund. So I don't understand how you people are like, well, I got to go out and get a loan for the house.
Why would I deploy my own capital if I can use somebody else's capital and buy more properties? I'm buying, and you can ask Denzel. He and I are buying a 2023 build in Montgomery, Alabama for $7,500. That's what we're paying. We're paying the agent $4,500 and we're paying the closing costs. It's about $7,500. And I'm taking over the debt and I'm responsible for the debt. And how I'm making money on that is we've got to make some repairs to the house and we've got to put a tenant in there and we've got to have more money coming in than we have going out. So I deploy capital in different ways. It's got to make financial sense. You're asking me to take $260,000 to buy a house when I can take that same amount of money, possibly buy 5, 10 houses. So I'm trying to make it make sense. 217 is a realistic number that I can deploy today and buy this house, but you want 260. You're looking for a retail buyer. I'm not a retail buyer. I'm just not. You think everybody's lowballing you, but I mean, you're looking for a retail buyer.
I had a
Go
long
ahead.
discussion like this with another person, and he
Okay.
he was he was upfront with me. He goes, if people are offering you this or
Uh
that,
huh.
this or that, whatever, they're a wholesaler. He goes, because what they're going to do is they're going to come in and fix it up a little bit, whatever, or maybe do some things, and then they're going to turn around and sell it. Now, I dug through all this paperwork that I just was talking to you
Okay.
about, and right here, okay, I have got two of them in my hand. Seller's estimate net sheet. Okay,
Okay.
that's what they use. That's what they use here in North Carolina.
They
Now,
use it
one of these
everywhere.
is done by, I don't know how both of us ended up here in North Carolina, but her and I went to high school together many, 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 many years ago. Found her on Facebook. All of a sudden, she's in North Carolina, literally 30 minutes up the road from me. So she was the first person I called. I said, come over and talk to me. So not counting the realtor's fees, okay, or brokerage fees, which
Okay.
is what is listed here.
Okay.
Now, what I consider closing costs is the stuff other than the realtor. Okay.
Okay.
Because you said that. You said
How
realtor
much is
fees.
title insurance?
Listen what I said. You said, your own words, you said you're gonna have to pay realtor fees and closing costs.
Correct. When
Right?
I sell this house, after I fix the house
Okay.
and put it on the market, if that's my exit strategy, I'm going to have to
So
play closing costs.
so she based it on 6% for the realtor. I'm not even gonna cover that number because we know what that number is. But
Okay.
what I consider the closing costs is the documents and all the other stuff on it. Okay.
Okay.
Here in North Carolina, you don't use a title company, you use a lawyer.
Yeah. Harry Marsh is
Okay.
who I use in that area.
Okay. This attorney fees is $800.
Okay.
Okay, I've got another one here where their attorney fees is 450. But
Where's
then
the title insurance?
but then they've got a express fee of $30, and then they've got revenue stamp $590. Okay,
Okay, but
so that
where's the title insurance?
there is no title insurance here.
Oh, there's absolutely title insurance. That's what protects
That's
me.
what
If I
that's what the lawyer here does. That's why you don't need a
mm,
title company. Okay.
no, I'm not talking about a title company. I'm talking about title insurance. Title insurance is a policy that's put in place. So if there was some uh family member of yours that came back and said, "Hey, Richard owes me X amount of dollars because I painted his house and I put a fence up. I'm owed this much money." That is, the title insurance is what protects me from frivolous lawsuits and problems with the chain of title. So title
So
insurance is something that happens.
so John, you're going to tell me that everything they put on these sheets is wrong
I'm not
because they
telling you that.
well here's start with the contract that you signed here in North Carolina. They ask you about that. Hey, do you owe anything? Does anybody else have rights, claims, or anything on this house? No, they do not. Period.
Okay.
Or maybe some people do. Okay,
Okay.
but I've got it right here. I don't know if you can hear
Okay.
me rattling. I'm rattling the papers. Okay,
Okay.
from realtors on what all the costs to me would be if I sold this house right here in my
Okay.
hand. Okay. And let's see, let me go down the list here. Closing expenses, uh, revenue stamp, survey, VA required fees. Yeah, nothing. Nowhere on here does it say anything about
Well, with the
title
with the
insurance.
VA loan, like you're not paying any of that. It's rolled into the VA loan that you've got, right? You didn't put any money down to buy this house, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Usually a VA loan is no money out of pocket. So, and then you don't have to pay for a pest inspection. You don't have to pay for title insurance. Like that's all something that's taken care of by the VA usually. But I get title insurance on everything. Have I bought houses without title insurance? Yeah, I've had to
Well then,
buy houses.
well, then that's something you do above and beyond. So the person you're buying from shouldn't be penalized for something you want above and beyond. Okay, that's on you. And I've talked to him about the lawyer stuff. The
Okay.
lawyer does all that stuff that down in Florida. When I bought my house houses down there, you had to have a title company do this. You had to have this, do that.
Yep.
You had to do that. They do their research. Okay, does anybody have a claim to this? That's all done in that process. So
Yep.
so why you people in California need to add more stuff to things? I don't know.
Well, I don't know why you're throwing it all on California. It's something that happens in all 50 states. I have bought and sold houses in 26 out of the 50 states. That's factual.
I'm happy for you.
Well, I'm just
Oh, you know
saying,
what I'm
like,
doing?
I understand that there are title states and then there are attorney states. I mean, you can go Google Harry Marsh. I've done deals in North Carolina. Harry Marsh is the attorney that we use. You can go look that up.
I told you I was law enforcement, so I'm not about talking to lawyers. And when I get off the phone, I'm gonna call my realtor friends and I'm gonna ask them about this title insurance thing. I'm gonna say,
Okay.
is it a requirement? Whatever. Because
All
there's
right.
just so many things here that I've heard come out of your mouth that has never been brought up. You know,
Well,
saying
okay.
a smaller house costs more than a bigger house.
You're misinterpreting what I am telling you. If a house that is 1,000 square feet sells for $272,000, would the math not be 272,000 or $272 a square foot? Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
If you sell your house, if you're wanting to sell your house and it's 2,000 square feet, how much is your house worth based on $272 a square foot, based on the selling price of a 1,000 square foot house? Do the math for me, please.
But see, that's not the way y'all do the math.
No. Richard, I do this every day. I don't tell you anything about law enforcement. I don't tell you anything about the military because I have zero experience doing any of that. But if you're going to
Here,
sit
John.
here and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about in real estate, I've sold more houses this year than you've owned in your life. I'm not bullshitting you. I am straight up. And I
John,
think you're frustrated because I'm just shooting you straight and you just don't like my answers.
John. Here's the one that this person that I hired from Caldwell Banker, and this is the one I set in front of them, and I handed it to them. I said, "Okay, do the math." And you even
Okay.
brought this house up, 112 Alexander Court, which is down the road from me. Right here, it says, let me see. Okay, and see, this is another thing I have a problem with. They say that the building area square footage is X. The inside square footage is exactly the same. Cannot be the same. Cannot. That's a whole different topic. Right here it says finished square foot, 1,600 square foot. And it says that's for what that house sold for, the cost per square footage was $166.88.
Okay.
So what they did, since my house is 200 square foot bigger, they gave me a plus of 16,600. Okay? That's the way they
Okay.
do it. Now, if you take that 166.88 and multiply it times 200, which is the difference in the square footage, that come up to $33,370.
Okay.
So when you actually do the math, the way math is supposed to be done, you
Uh-huh.
take that 16,600 that they're giving me
Uh-huh.
over that, and you divide it by the 200. Guess what? That house is only worth $83 a square foot. But yet they're saying on this piece of paper, right here in black and white, right in front of me, they're saying it's worth $166.88 based on what it sold for. It sold
Okay.
for 267, and the square footage is 1,600 square foot, 200 less than mine. Then you go to the one next to it, Sanford Court. It said 156.06
And yours
a
is
square foot.
1,750 square feet, right?
No,
1,750, was that right?
mine's 18.
1,800 even?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm
1,800
thinking,
even times 168. That puts you at 302, 400, right? Right?
no,
168 times 1,800. That's not right?
166.88.
Okay. So 1,800 times, let's just say it's 167 for simple math. Now we're at $300,600, right?
Well, I came up with 300,000. 370.
Okay. So you had your house on the market for 295 and it didn't sell. Your house is worth what a buyer's willing to pay for it. That's not
I
even up
know
for
that.
debate.
No, that's so true. Selling something is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. I know that.
So, I mean, doing the math the way you're doing it, that's giving you a ballpark idea of what you think your house is worth, but Joe Public disagrees. And the only reason I know that is you had your house on the market for 295 and it didn't trade. In fact, only 3
Well,
people came to look at it.
here's the reason, John. At the time, not long, it was maybe just a little over a year. The other two houses over on Hidalgo had sold. One sold for 297, one sold for 296. Less than 4 days on the market, both of them.
Okay.
Both of them. Okay. No, this is not me doing the math. I'm reading off a CMA that they gave me. Let's see if there's a date on this. Yeah, there's a date, but it was a little after a year that those other two houses were sold. What I'm saying here is this is how people do it. Okay, and unless you're off in left field, you're probably doing it similar to that. I didn't ask 300,000. This was way after that, and I just wanted to show the people that gave me this. I said, here, do the math. Do the math. Why, or if I do what you're saying here, why do I come up with this number? Twice as much of what you say I'm getting credited for. But then they'll turn around and do the same thing when a house is bigger than mine. They will subtract way more. And I'm like, the next neighborhood, Magnolia Courts over here. I lived in that when I first moved up here. Rented the house over there. Way too big for me. Moved over here. Literally less than a mile from where those houses cannot be compared to these houses in this neighborhood. I told you, average here is about 1,900 square foot. Average over there is about 2,500 square foot. But yet they're comparing my house to those. And I'm like, you can't do that. They go, well, that's the way we do it. We go out 1 year. If nothing in your house, in your neighborhood sold in the last year, then we'll go out distance. Find something that was a year. Well, those houses over on Alexander Court that you pulled up, Sanford Court, they are built around the same time, but they're in a neighborhood that I don't want to say less desirable, but all the houses are just finished with a vinyl siding. Over here, we all have brick fronts. Okay, so right there, brick costs more than vinyl siding. But yet they want to compare, and I'm like, no, you cannot compare my house to this house over on Alexander Court. Well, that's the way we do it. Well, it's wrong. Well, that's the way it's always been done. In Louisiana, my brother-in-law sold his parents' house, and then they bought that house back in 1961, 9 acres of land. They literally had to go 30 miles away from his house to find something comparable to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a realistic comp. Like, that's not how professionals do it. If that's the only thing that's available, I get it. But I'm comparing apples to apples, apples in the same orchard, apples on the same tree. The house just down the street from you sold for 275. I mean, I don't know what better math I can use. Like, I thought it was a direct comp.
Okay, all right. That's fine. That's fine. But you take that house, the square footage that it sold, that
I'm not even
take what
talking about the square footage. I'm just talking about that's a
but
house that is the same square footage roughly as yours, a 3 and 2.
no,
The one that's on 200 Seabiscuit, that's not the same. It's not the same match model for your house.
it's almost 200 square foot smaller.
Okay.
Okay. The only difference, okay, is the flooring in the common area, which we both agreed is $2,500 roughly. Okay.
Okay.
So $2,500. But if you use these numbers that people use on these CMAs, and guess what? You take this house and you do whatever you want to with it, and you turn it over to a realtor to sell it, those realtors are going to use these CMAs. Okay?
Okay.
They're going to do this math. The same exact math that I'm sitting here looking at.
Okay.
And so they're going to come up with whatever number it's going to be at the time you decide you want to sell this. So
Okay.
you say you can't say we can't use this. Because
Well, we can
people are
absolutely
arguing.
use it, but you've already put it on the market at 295 and I think 279, and at neither time did it trade.
I'd never put my house on for 279. Never did.
Oh, I thought that's okay. Let's forget that.
Never did.
So 295.
Don't forget about the 295. That was a big mistake. Okay, that was wrong. Let's let's agree to just leave that in the past where it's at. Based on this, based on the house that just sold at 200 Seabiscuit Drive for 272 something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do the math. Okay. Let's just, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but let's say 200 square foot difference.
Okay.
However much that house was a square foot, which I looked it up. Well, I did it a while ago. It was what, 160?
Yeah, 167, I think you said.
160 something a square foot. Now, if
Yep.
you take that 167
Yep.
and multiply it by the 200 foot difference,
Uh-huh.
okay. Let's see. Let me pull up my calculator back up. We're gonna say let's agree to 267. 267 times
A, squ
200.
a square foot? I thought it was 167.
Okay. All right. Let's agree to 167. 167 a square
167
foot
times 200.
times 200
Uh-huh.
is $33,400.
Okay. For a retail buyer, not an
For a
investor
retail
like
buyer.
me,
Now
a retail buyer.
let's add that to the 272 that
Okay.
house sold for.
Okay.
272. It was a little bit more than that, but let's just round
Okay.
it up.
What's that number?
That's 300. That's $305,400.
Okay. That using that exact same logic, you had your house on the market for $10,000 less than that.
John, now I'm not. No, I know that this house is not worth 200,000. Even though the two on either side, the houses on either side of me,
Uh-huh.
are estimated at over 300,000.
But they're not sold properties. It doesn't matter. The A in Zillow stands for accuracy. Zillow's never been in your house. I'm talking about real numbers. So
But
real data.
John,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just saying that's how this realty world works. I know because I've been living it. I've been so, John, I am so
Okay.
frustrated that I'm like,
Well, I get that you're frustrated, but it's like
I
we're
need to write
arguing
a book.
about.
I need to write a book on how messed up the realtor industry is. Because it is.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's literally crazy. I think
Okay.
they're 255 Seabiscuit. Everything about it is just backwards from real world. And I still don't understand why the only thing that anybody sells in this world, you have to have a whole industry to do it. Yeah, this is my next door neighbors. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, let me go back.
Well, I mean, you tried to sell it yourself, right?
Yeah, and when I did it,
Uh-huh.
okay, I stand corrected. The one, if you're looking at my house from the street, the one to the left of me is now, and I know it's just an estimate, John. I know it. I don't bite my head off. It's 298.7.
How many square feet is that house?
1920.
Okay. So that's a bigger house. And if we use the same math, like what is it? 120 square feet bigger, right? Than what
Yeah,
you
that's what
got?
I'm saying.
Or is it 1,000?
No, 100.
100
120.
and 120. What's
And
120 times 167? We're going to use your math. What's 120 times 167?
Hold on a second. Let me get my calculator back up. Usually I can do some of this stuff in my head, but I'm frustrated right now. 100 times what?
167.
167?
Yep.
Where'd you get 167 from?
I got it from you because that's what you told me that the house down the street sold for. It was 200 square feet smaller. Yours is 200 square feet bigger. And based on that number, it was
No,
167.
we can't
I'm
do
just
that
using
because
your numbers. I'm
no,
using
no,
your
no.
numbers.
That's for that house. Let's see what this house is worth a square foot.
I don't care about
Okay.
what we're going to use the same math. Like you're starting to move pieces on the chessboard and it's not making sense. If we're going
John,
to use
you are
167,
so backwards, dude. You can't
how am
say
I
that
backwards? How am I
the house
backwards?
right, hey, the house next to me,
Yeah.
you can't say that house square footage price is the same as 200 Seabiscuit. You can't,
Why is that?
because that house sold for 272. This house
Okay,
is
but I'm
estimated.
using your logic. We're using your logic. I'm not using anything but the numbers that you threw at me.
Look, I haven't compared my house to the one next to me yet.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. So if that one
Okay.
is
All right.
120 square feet bigger than yours,
No. Hold on. 298, 700. Okay. Divided by 1920. 1920. That's how many square foot. So that house is 155, 57 a square foot
so
times
do you see right there that the
120.
house that is bigger is less per square foot than the one that you're
So,
comparing
so, so,
is
so,
smaller.
so
So
John,
what I
so,
told you is factually
so John,
correct. Can we agree
so
on
John,
that?
so John,
We
if
can't
I
agree on
compare
that.
my house, if my house is compared to the one right next door to me, okay,
Uh-huh.
based on this estimate, my house would be 280,000
Okay.
using comparing. I compared it the same way I compared 200 Seabiscuit.
Okay.
Did the math the
It,
same way. But
except
but you,
for 200 Seabiscuit came out to $167 a square foot, and the one next door to you came out to 155. Is that correct?
yeah,
So would my statement that I told you that you told me was crazy, does it not cost on paper more to build that house that is smaller than the house that is bigger?
no,
167 to
no.
155.
I will not agree with that. You said
Well, that's
what you
okay.
just
You
said.
just be wrong.
Okay. No. What you just said,
Yep.
does it not cost more to build that house? Not what it's showing right now, not what it's being asked for or what's being estimated at. Would it cost more to build that house?
It
No, it
doesn't
wasn't.
cost it doesn't cost more to build the house, but it's trading. The
No,
smaller
but
house is
that's what you just
trading at a
said.
higher number.
You,
Well, we're
you,
just going around in circles. Like
you just
uh
said, Richard, is it not
I'm
correct that
at
it would
I'm
cost
at
more to build that
217. I'm at 217. You don't like that number. I can't get anywhere near 280. Where can we come to an agreement? Because we've got this
house?
auctions coming up too.
I never said 280.
You said you had an offer for $280,000. That's what you told me.
Well, he's wanting to do a owner finance kind of thing. Give me some cash, let me get out
Uh-huh.
of here, and then in a couple of years he'll pay me the rest.
Okay, so he's basically trying to do a subject to deal. So he's going to have to catch up the arrears that we don't know what that is. How much money is he going to give you down to walk away from this house?
Well, I haven't come up with that number. Uh,
So it's not a real offer yet, is what I'm hearing.
well, he's going to submit the offer of what he's willing to pay now.
Uh-huh.
The particulars on how we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But I just want to see in writing that,
So
hey,
you're okay with losing your entitlement for however many years it takes him to pay off this loan?
here's
Because you
what I'm
won't have
willing to
your
do.
entitlement.
What do you mean entitlement?
The entitlement that the VA gives you in order to deploy capital on this house. That's a VA loan. You get X amount of dollars. And that let's just say that you've got $400,000 in VA entitlement money. You've already deployed some of it on this house. You won't get that back unless the house and that loan is completely paid off.
Okay.
So your entitlement will be tied up in that house. You won't be able to use your entitlement. You'll be able to use whatever entitlement you have left over. So if that's 100,000, 150. Like I do this every day. This isn't something that's just a
All
part-time
right.
hobby to me.
All right, John, let's just stop all the BS. Here's what I want to do.
Yep.
I want to get some money in my pocket that'll get me back down to Florida, get me in a house where I can rent.
Okay.
And however that happens, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care if in a year or two that I get some kind of balloon payment. I don't care what happens to this house when I hand the keys over. I don't.
Okay.
To me, this is a house. This is not a home. Okay, this is a house. It's me and my 135-pound Rottweiler, and we're ready to go south. I don't like North Carolina. Haven't liked it since I've been up here. Came up here because the company I work for, we train the military. We get a lot more business being right outside of Fort Bragg. Okay, I've semi-retired from there. All right, that's kind of part of the long story. I'm going back to Florida to start a training company to train civilians. That's my passion. I love teaching and training. I just want to leave. Okay. The number I probably need, I need at least $20,000 to be able to figure out how I'm gonna move everything, deposits and stuff for a house to rent down there, and then after that, I could care less. I could care less. If
Okay.
somebody takes this
So
house
if we
and
put 20 grand in your pocket and
I'm saying,
traded positions with you, we
I'm
made the
saying
stretch.
I'm
Go
saying
ahead.
at least 20. Okay, I still got to crunch the numbers. I'm saying at least.
Okay. So let's do this because I've got another phone call here in 7 minutes. Let's do this. You crunch some numbers. You give me your quote walk away number, how much money I would have to deploy capital into your pocket for you to go to Florida and for me to take over the payments on your property with the understanding that we are going to fix it up, put it on the market, and sell it, or we're going to put a tenant in there. What do you think the house would rent for?
Uh, I'm trying to think. And this may be a while back because how I know housing prices have come down. I know I should have sold it way long time ago when those other two sold for as much as they did. That's
Mm-hmm.
me. That's on me. Uh, I know at one time they were getting up close to 2,000.
Okay. What's your
The
mortgage
payment.
payment right now?
Well, I was about to tell you that
Yeah.
the mortgage payment on this is less than $1,200 a month. I don't know
Okay.
exactly what
That's fine.
it is, but it's under. I know for a fact it's under $1,200 a month, and that covers everything, taxes and insurance.
Okay.
I forgot where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought there. So no BS. I just need where I can hire a moving company, get the trucks I
Yep.
need, whatever it is. I've already done research in that, and man, you talk about a racket. Those people have
Oh,
got a
for
racket,
sure.
especially pods. Will charge $5,000 just to drive 2 containers to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
$2,500 a pop. I'm like, the truck's going to the same place. Can I get a discount?
Yep.
No, that's Anyway, see, I do my research, John. I do my research. You may not agree with it, and I may not agree with what you're saying, but I've done my research. And I know about what it would take to get into a place down there. I've got realtors that I get off the phone with you. I call them and I say, hey, look, I need a house in a week. Go find me something in this area to rent. Y'all go look at it. Y'all know me. If it's good, I trust them. Hey, I'm gonna send a deposit. That's how much I trust these realtors down there. I don't agree with what they do, but I trust them. So that's all I'm looking to do, John, is get out of
Okay.
North Carolina and get back to family, friends, and I've already got a buddy down there that's got the business going. He's calling me every day. Where are you at? We got to get you down here. I'm gonna walk into a job, probably making, well, I don't talk about money, but way more than what I did training in the military. So that's what I want to do, John. Now, if you can do something with that, let's see. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
So there it is. I guess we went around the block a couple of times unnecessarily.
All right. So at least 20 grand in your pocket. I cover all the closing costs, send you off to Florida, and I've got to stop this auction. So there's some money
Which,
that I got to deploy there.
well, here's the thing. That can be stopped by somebody sending an offer to me so I can send it to the VA. I just talked to them this week. They said, get an offer and we can stop it, postpone it.
Yep. But if it's going to be a sub two deal where I'm buying the house subject to the current mortgage that's already in place, they're not gonna listen to that because they're gonna want their money. So I can reverse engineer how to get you out of the predicament that you're in. So if you're behind, let's just say you're behind $20,000, I'm going to have to deploy that 20 grand to the VA to get your arrears cleared up and get you back to zero. So I've got ways that I can do that. But I've got another call here in a few minutes. Let's do this. Let me touch base with Denzel here after my next meeting, and then you think about is it how this is all going to work out. I will send you a third party authorization to let me talk to the bank. The bank will give me the exact payoff that you need. And then I can structure a deal where, again, I'm using a round number. I don't know what the number is. Let's just say it's 20 grand that we owe the VA to catch up the arrears. I can deploy that 20 grand to them. I can deploy 20 grand to you to get you to Florida. Again, that may not be the number. You and I will come to that agreement. And then I will deploy my team to go fix this house, whatever it is that I need to do in order for me to exit out of this and move on to the next chapter for all of us. So give me a couple of hours. I'll touch base with Denzel, and then we'll come up with a game plan to move forward. I don't think, well, I don't know what the other guy, but I do subject to deals all over the United States. So I've got the paperwork, I've got everything that we need. We put them in a trust. There's a due on sale clause that could be called by the bank. We've got ways to mitigate a bunch of the risk, and we can take it from there. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, and John, that's what this offer that I'm waiting on for 80,000. He goes, okay, let's agree that I will give you 280 for this house.
Mm-hmm.
How much money would you need? Like you said, that
Yep.
again, at least it's a round number and it's just a fictitious number right now, but keep math simple, 20,000. He goes, I will give you that 20,000. Do what you're saying. Do. He said, he goes, you'll get 100, 150, 200 a month, whatever. And then at the end of whatever time frame we agree on, then I get the remainder of,
Yeah, the balance.
yeah, the balance, if you will, or the balloon payment. So that's the 280.
Okay. Well, let me get to work. I got to hop on this other call, and I'll call you in 2 hours, and we'll put pen to paper.
All right.
Appreciate it, my man. Have a great day. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.